What's going on, Colts Nation? I appreciate you joining me for another video where today we're going to talk about some stuff that's been happening on the internet, some stuff that I've seen on Twitter that came from Anthony Richardson's performance in the preseason game. Things got a little heated between Benkert. If you've never heard that name before, I believe he was a backup for Aaron Rodgers for a couple years. Didn't do anything in the NFL, pretty shit career. He decided, backup quarterback that never really even got close to sniffing the field in the NFL, came out and said that he's out on AR, right, after a preseason game. One interception in preseason game, he's out on AR. We've already seen AR make plays in the NFL. We've seen AR get better in the NFL, right? From the preseason last year to the time that he got hurt, we saw progression, which was only, 2-month period there. So Benkert obviously coming out, hot take, guy trying to build his platform, whatever it is, on Twitter, on YouTube. He said he's on YouTube. I didn't even know that. Obviously, just trying to put out hot takes and get attention. Well, he got the attention of Scony Colt, Logan. For those of you not on Twitter, one of the better Twitter followers, or one of Twitter better Twitter follows for Colts fans on Twitter. And those two started going at it. His account was big enough. He decided he wanted to respond to Logan, and these two went at it. So, and it all started with him saying he's out on AR. And then, of course, you have Logan, and I'll switch this over so that you guys can see it. But here you see, didn't mean to do that. Let's bring you back down here, where Logan ended up putting a picture of Benkert and his stats from his career one game: 2 rushes, -1 yards. Didn't do anything in the NFL, right? Did absolutely nothing in the NFL. And just looking at what he was saying, he went on to say that if Bo Nix can play up to his potential this year, I actually think the Broncos could be a fringe playoff team. He looks really sharp. And then somebody obviously comments on that with everything that went on with Anthony Richardson. No way you're out on AR5 after one preseason game, but thinks Bo Nix can play to his potential. And I like your stuff, Kurt. Which Kurt replies, AR5 has never looked like the passer Bo Nix is. Not to mention Bo has upside as an athlete too, in a different way. Open your eyes. AR5 can be fine, but I'm not buying the hype this season. Bo Nix is more ready as of today, which is crazy. Okay, first of all, this is basically Anthony Richardson's rookie year, right? Came in last year, played a couple games, has a little bit of experience in the NFL, but overall, Anthony Richardson is basically his rookie year, right? And coming off the shoulder injury, like he's relearning how to use his arm, relearning how to throw the ball. Basically everything that he worked on last year, he's redoing it, right? And we saw progression from him last year. So Kurt just needs to go back, watch the film from preseason and watch the film from the Rams game. Those two right there will tell you the story of a guy that can get better, a guy that works to get better, a guy that will get better through this season. Is Bo Nix more ready right now? Maybe as a passer. Is he as dynamic as Anthony Richardson? No way. It's not like Bo Nix is light years ahead as a passer in turn, when you're comparing him and Anthony Richardson. So I think that is just a crazy comparison. Bo Nix has never actually played. Now, I think Bo Nix is going to be great in the NFL. On record saying that many times. I think Bo Nix is going to be really good. But Bo Nix hasn't taken a snap in the NFL. We've seen Anthony Richardson do it. He has to come back. He has to prove it again. He has to prove he can stay on the field. But he already proved that he can be a good NFL quarterback. So Kurt, getting a little bit ahead of himself right there. I think that was a little bit out there. And somebody here, as the Twitter war continues, some random guy named Drew says, we are closer in talent to Kirk than Kurt is to AR. So if he can criticize AR, you can make a joke about his stats pretty comfortably, which is true. In my opinion, I think it's true. I think subpar quarterbacks in the NFL aren't that different. Now, listen, there's a lot of people on Twitter that aren't good athletes, just not good athletes. Anybody that's a decent athlete, is probably can throw about as good as Benkert. If he wanted to do a pros versus Joes and I got in there, I feel pretty confident in my athletic ability to be able to do the things that Kurt can do. Right? I don't think that's crazy. I think, like physical ability gets a lot of guys in the NFL. It's the mental game, especially from the quarterback standpoint. It's the mental stuff that quarterbacks go through and the quick processing and being able to read defenses and memory and all of those kinds of things, right? Callback or recall, mental recall. And those things Kurt obviously wasn't able to do the way Aaron Rodgers could do, right? And those are the kinds of things like I would probably never be an NFL quarterback because of those reasons. But because of physical ability, right? I know how I can throw a football. I know I can yak a football 60 or 70 yards. I'm fairly accurate with the football. I guess not crazy, right? So not a crazy statement. And then you have Logan here. Kurt being mad at me for the yards thing would be like Zaire Franklin getting mad at me because I told him we have the same amount of passing touchdowns as each other, which is true. This is, Logan just being petty, stirring the pot, which is what he does, right? He's diehard Colts, gonna ride and die for the Colts. He's gonna get himself into some situations just like this one. He's just talking trash. And then Noah Compton replied to that one, said, to be fair, Zaire has as many career snaps on offense as Benkert has, which is a shot. That one was meant to be a dagger. Okay, Zaire Franklin was on, 2 snaps last year on the offensive side? Yeah. Kurt spent, I think, 6 years is what he said in the NFL, something like that. And basically only got in to take a knee. So pretty true there. And then Colts coverage here. Kurt is going to leave Twitter if the Colts win in 16 days. You better believe it. If AR comes out just like last year, right now we were in Houston when Anthony Richardson and the Colts were stomping a mud hole in the Texans. But nonetheless, we're going to be in Indianapolis this time. AR is going to be playing. If we have the same result, we come out and blow out the Texans, Colts Nation is going to be real loud in Benkert's mentions. He's going to be blocking a lot of us Colts fans because the Colts come out and win. The Colts come out and blow them out. Yeah, we're going to get real loud on Twitter. Logan here saying, like this post if you also have more yards than Kurt. Every single person that listens to this is going to be liking that. And this here I thought was kind of funny, right? Cody Felger with the Bring the Juice podcast, right? Obviously, Patrick Mahomes didn't play the entire preseason, but Chiefs lost every one of their preseason games, right? Benkert came out and said, I've seen enough. I'm out on Anthony Richardson. Well, Cody said, I've seen enough. I'm out on Patrick Mahomes. And again, obviously, Mahomes, it's not like he, did terrible or not like he even played very much in the preseason, but they lost all their games. So I just thought that was funny. Good one to throw in there. Nice little dagger. And this, I'm obviously not going to play this. This 22 minutes, 18 seconds. But this is the exact opposite from a guy that spent 13 years in the NFL. I'm pretty sure it was 13 years in the NFL. A guy that only had 1,746 career passing yards. But he spent time around a lot of great quarterbacks, spent time around a lot of great coaches, just spent a lot of time in the NFL. You're not going to stay as a backup in the NFL if you don't have the knowledge to do it. So when I see Chase Daniels say that, the first thing that jumps off the film with Anthony Richardson is insane arm talent. His game has improved drastically from last year. Some accuracy issues are there, but there's absolutely zero debate who is QB1 in Indy. So this whole thing, I watched and listened to this whole thing earlier today. And thought it was a really good breakdown. Thought he did a really good job of being honest about the things that Anthony Richardson was messing up. There were some things that he was talking about from a quarterback's perspective on, things that Kurt was saying, this is Anthony Richardson's fault. This is Anthony Richardson's fault. And then you have Chase Daniels saying, well, when you really look at it, this is what the quarterback's thinking. This is what the receiver's thinking. And like the Kylan Granson thing, if you listen to this, Chase thinks that is actually on the tight end. I also saw a clip with, I believe it was Sam Acho or Emmanuel Acho, one of the Acho brothers, And it was James Jones and somebody else, and they were talking about that same play, the interception, the pick six, and how that's not Anthony Richardson's fault, right? So when you look at what Kurt said, you look at what everybody else has said, turn on the tape, Kurt. Go look at the tape. Go figure it out. Maybe you didn't last as long in the NFL because you think those things are Anthony Richardson's fault when really it's quarterback's fault. Maybe he thought it was quarterback's fault when it was a receiver's fault, right? So you're seeing from that aspect, like, yeah, no wonder he didn't last in the NFL, right? You have other people who have played in the NFL, right? James Jones played with Aaron Rodgers, right? Benkert obviously didn't study enough under Aaron Rodgers, right? Like James Jones did. And he doesn't know what he's talking about. Chase Daniel gives a really good breakup. If you're not on Twitter, man, just go make a Twitter. Of course, follow me at FootballsKing7. But go look at this Chase Daniel breakdown, man. If you're nervous about what you saw in the game against the Bengals, go look at the breakdown. I thought it was really good. Again, it's not perfect. Anthony Richardson has some accuracy issues that we're going to have to work through. And that's something every Colts fan should know. We knew it coming into last year. Again, with this being basically his rookie year, everything with the shoulder, expect things to not be perfect. Okay, it's not going to be perfect, but Anthony Richardson will grow. He will get better. There was a lot that we saw in the game that you can take and say, I'm excited about this. I hope he learns from this. And when you look at what he's been able to do in the past, I just have all the faith in the world of Shane Steichen to coach up Anthony Richardson. I think our guy's going to be fine. But I just thought this conversation, the last time we talked, it was about being nervous about AR. Now there was the whole thing, we're not running the entire offense in the preseason. This is just the preseason. You're supposed to be working on things, right? Hey, let me try this, see if this works. Right, he's trying to hone in his strength, trying to figure out touch on the ball. Those things that'll come with experience, right? You got to have the experience, and he's going to get plenty of it this year. So going forward, again, I feel pretty good about Anthony Richardson and the offense coming in. It's not going to be perfect. Anthony's going to miss some throws, and we're not going to like it. There's also a learning curve for AD, right? Running routes at the correct depth. One of the misses from AR, if you watch Chase Daniel's breakdown, he's talking about how AD needs to run the correct depth. It's supposed to be 18 yards against man coverage, I believe, 22 against zone. I believe that, or maybe it was swapped, one of those. And he ran 14 or 15 yards. And shallow cut it. He shallow cut it to create separation. So they're just going to have to work together, right? And that's where communication comes in. Working with the guys on the team, the tight ends, receivers, being on the same page. Hey, this is the way I'm seeing things. Let's try to figure it out and be on the same page at all times. Those things will come as we continue to go. A lot of young guys on the team that have to continue to grow together. So that's what we're looking for going into the season. I'd like to know what your opinion is on this down in the comment section. Let me know if you saw any of this on Twitter and what your opinion is of the offense going into the season. You let me know down in the comment section. Of course, make sure you subscribe with notifications on so you continue to get notified anytime any more videos drop on this channel. Of course, I appreciate you stopping by for another video. As always, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and go Colts.